Good night, everyone. Welcome to Naval String Connection. This is ARIA Lightfoot, and I have a special guest tonight, which is the Honorable Dr. Shyne Barrow. And tonight, we're going to be joined by someone not unfamiliar with us in Belize. He has a very compelling story to tell, a journey that has crossed music, politics, public service, national leadership, and now you're back into the music industry. Well, you never left, but you understand what I'm saying. So, from the international stage of hip hop to Belize House of Representative, and now we're back again on the national, international music scene. Good night, Dr. Barrow. How are you doing?
Shyne is okay. Good night.
Good, good. So, right now, just so that my listeners are aware, we are having a tornado warning in my area. So, any apologies if this interview would be affected by it. But so, tell us a little bit. Good night. You had a very successful event on May 2nd. Could you tell us a little bit about May 2nd, Shine?
I had a sold out return to the stage at the King's Theatre in Brooklyn to celebrate
Okay.
the 25th anniversary of the first album that I released.
So tell us a little bit, how did you feel about going back to the stage, performing again in front of a sold out audience?
It was great. It was great to celebrate my legacy with people who have been supporting me for the last 25 years. I truly appreciated the sentimentality of it, in knowing that there was a period where people thought that maybe they would never get to see me perform live in the States again. So to have that happen and to have it happen on such a scale, to sell out the King's Theatre, which is a place where everyone from Martin Lawrence to, Patti LaBelle to all types of different legends and current artists perform. But most important is that it was in the heart of where I grew up, streets away from where I grew up in Brooklyn, Vietnam, as we used to call it back then, but Brooklyn, New York. So that really meant a lot, to not just return to the stage, but to return to the stage, in the place that I called home for very many years, my second home outside of Belize, but literally streets away from where I grew up, the family homes on two ends, because there was the initial family, the initial family home on Church Avenue, and then the other family home over on Newkirk and Flatbush. So that meant a great deal. And so going into it, I really was excited. I understood the task at hand as far as a professional. Obviously, a professional, you want to put together the best experience for those concert goers. But for me, performing entertainment, music, much as with politics, comes quite naturally. It's something that I love to do. It's something that I have a gift to do, but I'm very intentional about doing it because there are people that have gifts. There are people that have tremendous talent, but mentally they're not necessarily there, so they don't get the best out of what they have to offer. Some people, but then there are the greats. That's what makes the greats the greats. They have the gift, but they have the mind. In their mind, they're creating this experience like no other for the audience. And so for me, that's how I really go into everything that I do. It really is about um, people, right? So similar to my political leadership and service, I didn't involve myself in politics to be famous. I was already famous. Didn't involve myself in politics to gain wealth. Already had wealth, which unfortunately is what many politicians do, particularly in Belize and in the Caribbean. But I got involved because I really wanted to make a difference in people's lives. music is the same. That's why sometimes when people uh, have this misguided notion that, oh, well, yeah, you should stick to entertainment because that's different than politics. No, politics and entertainment go hand in hand. One of my good friends likened me to Marley and Manley. Say you have to become prime minister first, but definitely we could say that you're a Marley or Belizean Marley as far as the impact, the global impact that you have in bringing the world's attention to our jewel in Belize. But just as I approach serving people in Belize is how I approach my music. So leading up to the concert, while I had not been on the stage for over 25 years, I had never performed the Shyne album. I knew that so many people, obviously thousands of people, were looking forward to this moment. It's like watching the Knicks play. A couple of them team
What
up,
a game, huh? What a game,
but,
man.
but that's what sports and entertainment does for our society. So, while politicians create the legislation and the framework that governs the society, really, there's nothing like sports and entertainment to bring people together, to make people happy, to elevate people, to allow people an escape from the perils that they may be facing. So that's how I approach the music that I make. That's how I approach performing, because performing is like a different level than the actual music, because when you go on that stage and people get to see the person performing the songs that they love, but in the flesh, there's just a difference.
So just to take a little step back, and I don't mean to interrupt you, but there's a lot of prep because I talked to you before about the preparation because you're a perfectionist. And I do want you to talk a little bit about that because a lot of people might think that, oh, he just to get up there, go rap one song, you know what I mean? But could you tell us about your level of preparation that you put into it and the type of the environment that you enter when you're on stage?
Um, the the performance as at a professional level, I think, maybe in Belize, people might not appreciate the level of professionalism that goes into artists. Maybe I'm not saying that they don't.
Right.
But certainly, you don't think Kesteban comes to Belize and doesn't rehearse uh, arduously. You certainly don't think that Machel is Machel without tenacious prep, right? So we're professionals, right? So certainly, people that sell millions of records and impact the globe, they didn't become who they became by just getting up and showing up somewhere and just going into the studio. It's a profession, and that's why the music that we make really impacts the globe, right? Hip hop is the most dominant force in music, period. It's the most dominant culture, period, on planet Earth, right? It permeates everywhere. And that comes with a lot of hard work. We're consummate professionals, at least those who make it and stay at the top and have a lasting legacy. That's because they rehearse tenaciously, um, and they get ready to give the people an experience that they'll never forget. That's what makes Michael Jackson Michael Jackson. That's what makes the great performers who they are in any genre, whether it be pop, R&B, or hip hop, right? Or as I mentioned, two soca artists and dancehall. All of us, no matter how cool your artist, your favorite artist is, if they are giving great stage performances, they are rehearsing every day, every single day. I rehearsed every day, 3 times a day, because if you notice, I've lost a lot of weight, and that's because I do a lot of walking now. So I walk like 2 hours a day, but that coincides with my rehearsal because I have to have breath control on the stage so that my voice sounds exactly like the album, and I'm not running out of breath as I'm going back and forth across the stage. Which I spoke to Dougie Fresh, the legendary, the iconic Dougie Fresh, more of a legend and icon than I could ever be. And he was the originator of the Caribbean. He's from Jamaica, and the beatbox man, him and other hero, Slick Rick. But people may not know Dougie Fresh trained me when I first was getting ready to release my album and to do my promo tour and to get on the stage and to perform on MTV and BT. He trained me. He taught me how to perform the way that he performed and the way that he taught many others. And he literally called me after the King's Theatre show and told me how proud he was of me, and he's just so happy. And man, I really warmed his heart for him to see me after all these years, remembering everything that he taught me, right? Because there are things that people might not know. But to this day, Dougie Fresh is still performing, still burning down stage, and he's one of the greatest performers ever, right? But yeah, so it's an art, right? But part of that art is breath control, is making sure that the stage performance sounds like the album. I try not to go too far off of my album, although I add a level of personality and a level of engagement, and I enhance what the album sounds like, but I try not to go too far away because people love those songs.
Right.
They love them just as they are. So I try not to go too far away from that. Um, but yeah, so rehearsing in the morning on my walks, which gives me great breath control. Then I actually go into the rehearsal studios with my DJ Rampage, who's a Belizean, uh,
Good.
born Belizean, learned from Father Stone on George Street in my Mesopotamia constituency. And now he is Lauren Hill, the great Lauren Hill's tour DJ. So I teach him when she's not
Right.
using him. But yeah, so then I go in with him and then I go again a third time, usually late at night, and I walk across the Brooklyn Bridge because I would stay like in Manhattan, and so I would walk from Manhattan to Brooklyn. But that gives me such great breath control, and then I was able to memorize the album because that is what really frightened me more
Yeah.
than anything is memorizing an album that I had never performed,
Perform.
right? So I had great anxiety. I really try not to use that word. One second, my daughter is texting me. Um, I just have to tell her something. I'm so sorry.
No, you're fine. I
But yeah,
think, and I could
that,
talk while
that
you're,
gave me that that gave me great anxiety. Um, we're live right now, right? I should
yes,
tell her
yes,
to
you're
check
live
me out.
on XTV, on social media
Yeah.
and on TV.
Yeah, so yeah, that I remember when I performed at the BET Awards. Let me just tell you, for those that care, right? For the BET Awards when I performed, that was and I have ice flowing through my veins. I'm such a stoic person and nothing rattles me. But like I internalize fright and anxiety different than other people. I look at it as just an indication of how much the moment means, right?
Okay.
If something doesn't shake you to your core, if something doesn't intimidate you, then it's nothing.
Right.
So I don't look at it as something that's going to intimidate me. I look at it like something that's just there and I'm going to run through it. I'm going to burst through it. But I know what it takes to go through it. It's not just going to be that, oh, well, I just went up on the stage and I do my thing. No, I want to rehearse and rehearse and rehearse and rehearse, and I will get it right. So then by the time I get on the stage, you're looking at me like, oh my goodness, wow.
Feels natural.
Yeah, but then in all fairness, my rehearsals, Max Glazer stood in for a few of my rehearsals. He's a good friend of mine, very big in the Caribbean community. Him and my other good friend, Michael Perfit, are best friends. And so he stood in for the rehearsals, and so nobody knew what they were going to get, right? Because remember the complaints are, oh, we don't want to see no Obama, We don't want simple politician. We want Shyne. We want Shyne.
Right.
So people really didn't know what they were going to get. So when Glazer never told me this until after the fact, or actually, I think Mickey P told me after the fact that like when he left the rehearsals, he was like, "Oh my goodness!" So like I said, I have a gift, but I don't take the gift for granted, and I really enjoy rehearsing. Like it's fun. It's so much fun for me in preparing to entertain people, especially in this first run where people have gone so long without seeing me, right? So I
Yeah.
enjoy, and then I love my music. I never made anything that I didn't love. Like I love
Okay.
those beats. I pick those beats. I marvel at the lyrics and how I came up with all these different stanzas, these different analogies and metaphors and entendres and just the melodies. It's really, I enjoy it. So I really enjoy rehearsing. I really enjoy finding different pockets. I really enjoy creating an experience for people that love me, right? There are people that love me not just for the music, but they love the gentleman that I had become, the leader that I had become, and all of the things that I have overcome in order to become, and they really celebrate that, right? So to see me on the stage was not so much about me, but as much about them seeing me because
Full circle.
I wasn't supposed to return. Like there are
Yeah.
many people that thought I would never overcome deportation, and when I did return, I returned as a diplomat, and I really was not trying to violate the terms of my entry. So the BET was like a one-off for tourism, and the State Department was okay with that. But turning it into a career, no way,
Yeah.
absolutely not. I was not going to do that, and I had no intention to return to the stage. But life happens, right? When I lost my seat, rather than sit there and feel sorry for myself, I knew the gift that I had, and I knew the opportunities that were there for me, and I'm grateful, to the State Department and Homeland
Well,
Security for
Shine,
giving.
I wanna step back a little bit because I really think that you have a very compelling story, especially in light of a lot of young Black or African American males, because in the US you have a lot of African Americans, and in Belize you have young Black males that are victims and sometimes perpetrators and become caught up in the system, right? And it's almost like the people are not used to seeing a comeback. People are not used to seeing people elevate themselves out of a situation or anything that happens in life. And you give a story about when you were growing up in Belize. I saw your special you did on Hulu, and I thought that was a compelling story. You grew up in Belize for the first few years of your life. You moved to the US, right? And all these different environments that you're in, you came in as an immigrant, which is a lot of people's story. So, could you tell us, for example, even as you were young, going through all these different things in your life, what differentiates you? What made you? And a lot of times you tell me you're blessed and that you're God's child, right? But I think it's also a different mindset to be able to move from something you see as a bad situation and then it turns out positive. So tell us a little bit about how you navigated through those early stages of your life and how you evolved from those early stages.
Well, I don't think that I'm special. I think that all human beings have what I have. It's just a matter of finding it. And maybe it's not as frequent in Belize. I think Belize, um, we're a young democracy and we're still developing. And some people, are, unfortunately, are very colonial minded, which is what I faced with that 11th Amendment, where people thought that, um, because of what happened when I was 19 years old, that I should be punished in perpetuity for that. It is one of the most disturbing movements against me that I had ever seen. But it wasn't just against me, because then that was an indictment of those people, but it was a conviction forever for, and a condemnation for the people from the South Side, for the people, my complexion, my ethnicity, my poverty um, climate as a child growing up, right? Because I grew up poor, I'm my mother's son, right? My political father, with all of his wealth and all of his power, had nothing to do with my upbringing. So in Brooklyn, I was just another African American Caribbean, just trying to make the best out of life. But I have to give credit where credit is due. Um, there are so many success stories in the United States,
Of
so
course.
many comeback stories, right? So I don't, so maybe it's unique in Belize, because again, the mindset in Belize is that if you stay down, if you stay poor, you're not going nowhere. If you stay a convict, what you can't gonna know House of Representatives. Only people who got PhD or masters or a certain last name or a certain political affiliation should ever rise. Whereas in the United States, it's quite the contrast, right? Anybody could go from 0 to 100. You just have to work hard, you have to sacrifice. And there's so many people in the United States that really want other people to be successful, which is what I really try to bring about in Belize. There are a few like-minded political leaders such as myself, people like Marla, other people, like I say, Curdell, and people on my side as well, on the UDP side, Darrell Bradley. There are people that think progressive, think about how they can empower others, lift others up, create a framework, which is really what governance should be about, creating a framework so people can thrive. So I don't think my story is necessarily unique, but it is in all fairness, right? So
It's quite unique.
out of all of it, but I'm not. I just want to
The
clarify.
possibilities are there.
I'm not the only one.
Right.
Certainly in the pantheon of incredible comeback stories, yes, this will definitely go down in the history of mankind as one, and it's still not finished, it's still being written, right?
Right.
When I become prime minister, that's when it will really start. And then what I do as prime minister, the legacy I leave as prime minister, and how I change beliefs, to me, that is what I'm really working towards. But I say all that to say, never give up, never give in. Life hurts. You have to be prepared to want it more than anyone. You have to be prepared to give your life for your dreams, for your goals, and you have to be able to go to the end of the earth to accomplish the things that you set out. No one is going to do it for you. No one ever is going to accomplish your success for you. You will accomplish it. Obviously, there'll be people along the way that will help you, that will facilitate, but nothing beats hard work. I've seen the most talented people not make it very far, or not make it as far as they could make it, or make it but then don't stay, because of work ethic, because of distractions, because of complacency. So discipline, focus, right? Because there's so many things that will come into your life and have you looking that way and looking that way. And as soon as you look that way, success will pass you. So you have to stay focused. Your eyes have to stay on the target, and you really have to sacrifice. And the sacrifice has to be day in and day out. There are no days off. There is not even half a days. And again, I'm just telling you how I made it, right? Everyone is free to go about life the way that they think life will work for them. But I have in common, you put 10 people in a room, and if they're all successful, they'll pretty much tell you the same thing that I am telling you. And what separates the level of success is who's going to work harder,
Yeah.
who's going to go. Like, I push myself to the brink, to off the brink where I'm hanging, by a thread, and then I pull myself up and say, all right, okay, I've gone far enough. I'm going to get the residuals, right? So that's what really has taken me throughout mine. But I had, thankfully, I have to credit my grandmother and my mother. I've never seen two people work so hard um, ever, right? And for a little bit of nothing. My granny, just like my mom, obviously most immigrants come and they take care of people's children and clean people's houses. My granny, at an older age, put herself through nursing school and became a registered nurse.
Right.
So she was going to school while doing, her 9 to 5. My mother used to have to sleep in and then only come home on the weekends and still work on the weekends. So I grew up around hard work, right?
Yeah.
They weren't out there waiting for some man to take care of them or going from relationship to relationship so that they could have a provider. They provided for themselves and they provided for me, and it was through hard work. So I always understood that as a child growing up. And then to work hard at something you love, right? To make millions of dollars doing what you love. That's why I have such a empathy. I have such love for the Belizean artist community because they are so talented, and you can't make a living being an
Yeah.
artist in Belize. It's tough. Like, you have to get a job. Some of our best DJs have to work 9 to 5s because being a DJ doesn't pay. Some of our best artists, singers have to get other jobs because performing is just not paying the bills, right? And so for me, that's why I got involved. That's why I became ambassador of music and culture. That's why to this day I still finance artists and still help them, and that's how I got into politics because I felt guilty. I felt that I had so much opportunity in the United States where I could make millions of dollars doing what I love, right? Like that is surreal.
Yeah.
To this day, in politics, I lost millions of dollars. To be able to come back to the States and do one tour and do one album, and I made back my millions of dollars already, right? But
But I want you to talk a little bit about Belize politics, right? With all that you've experienced in the world, like you've been to hip hop, and hip hop is no easy rise. That's in itself is like a very competitive environment.
mm,
What is your thought about Belize politics? And because I think Belize politics is like it's not for the it's not for everyone. It's a very uh I don't know if I have the right word, but it's it's punitive, it's mean
it's
spirited.
no different. It's no different than politics anywhere. And it's no different.
Maybe because we see it up close. Maybe because as Belizeans in the US, it's more done in a formality type way, but in Belize, like it,
So different. Absolutely not. I don't know what U.S. politics you're looking at, but you can't be looking at the same U.S. politics. So let's not
but what's your thought about all you've been through? Because you've been through quite a bit. You were one of the strongest voices in the house at one point. The entire one side of the house going after Shyne, you and the house speaker, and you holding them to certain standards that we're not used to standards, you know what I mean? So what was your view of that experience in your life?
I
And
love
has it prepared you for your next comeback that you're planning?
yeah, I loved it. I love serving the people of Mesopotamia. I love serving the 31 constituencies as leader of the opposition. Everyone knows I took my responsibilities very serious. I was always one of the most prepared. I was always one of the most proficient. It mean a lot when I would get compliments from the other side. I would get compliments from my colleagues that
It
I
was
took,
you one and the
I
entire
took
side.
quad out, and they would say, "Boy, man," like quietly they would say, "Boy, you're doing a thing." To this day, I have, and so it means a lot. The fact that I still have relationships with senior ministers from the PUP, senior colleagues in the UDP. To this day, we share those relationships. It says that in my short time, I made I made a tremendous impact. And so for me, baptism by fire, uh, um, for me, it's initiation. For me, it is training, it is conditioning. I had a 2030 plan, so it was never in my projections to become opposition leader and leader of the UDP in such a short space. I rose to the occasion when others refused to rise to the occasions, and then when they wanted to come as a matter of convenience, that's neither here nor there. I won my convention, right? There was no fake convention, and I got endorsed after, but I am the last party leader to have been elected in a contested convention by the people. And so all of that to me just sets the stage for a life of service, because you serve because that's what you want to do.
Right.
We don't serve because, oh, people come and they beg us, please. And I've noticed there are some politicians that even I myself have sat down with them and tried to encourage them. The UDP needs you, politics needs you, come on. And, it's like trying to date one of the most wonderful females. Sometimes they might give you a hard time. If you're lucky, it might not be such a hard time. But I don't believe politicians should be like that. Yes, maybe your future wife should be like that, but not politicians. I believe a great leader can't see his or her life without serving the people. A great leader can't rest without offering themselves, right? So we really shouldn't have to convince someone. The moment you have to convince someone to come and lead, I get very suspicious. But so for me, I haven't gone anywhere. I lost March 12th, March 13th. I fasted as I do today. Today's Thursday. It was a Thursday. And then Friday, I was back in my constituency giving out entrepreneurship grants and helping people. And I have not stopped since because I am just paying my dues, right? I am just demonstrating to the people of Belize who I truly am, building their trust and their confidence so I can one day be their prime minister. I don't take anything that I have ever accomplished in politics lightly. I don't take being a representative for Mesopotamia. I don't take being the standard bearer before I was elected lightly. Every part of my journey, I appreciate it so much. And the story is still being written, still being told. And service is a lifelong thing, right? So if I make it electoral politics, because it's always up to the people whether they would elect me as their representative. If I make it, fine. If I don't, I will serve my country in another way, as I'm doing now, with tourism, with investments, because everything that I do, the millions and millions of people that follow me around the world, everything is Belize, 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 Belize. And that's a form of contribution to the GDP and to the pride of Belize, where, everybody can hold their heads high that someone is always out there telling people about Belize. So I don't take politics personal. Like I said,
So you enjoyed it? Do you enjoyed it?
well, I don't. You have to keep it in perspective. I enjoyed serving the people.
Okay.
Obviously, you don't enjoy your own colleagues in the UDP trying to steal an election from you. The fraud that was committed. Right now we're before Justice Honduras because we have to work out the damages. You
Right.
get to fake that you were the leader of the UDP from October 20th at a fake convention up until the time that you got endorsed, not even elected, endorsed because you eliminated all of the competition so nobody else was there to contest you. You don't get away with that simply. There were millions of dollars I lost. I had to put up a property. I had a property that cost $1 million just for the property. And I obviously, I did my Disney deal and I did all types of deals. So unlike some other people where they pay their family members and on both sides, right? Both sides, lot of corruption. That's why, I'm not ready for jumping yet because the PUDP corruption is, man, it is the nadir of human depravity. But I never benefited from any of that corruption, never got anything. Um, all of my wealth I accumulated through my entertainment space and investment. But yes, just for example, as I said, I had $1 million property and I had to sell it for like $300,000,
That's the point of economy, Shine.
because
I'm
I
just
needed
fine.
the I
I'm
needed
kidding, Shine.
no, it's not a laughing
Yeah,
matter. Um, I needed the resources to finance the UDP,
yeah,
right? Because you had someone that was fraudulently claiming to be the leader of the UDP, collecting money on behalf of the UDP, and not giving it to the standard bearers or to the UDP. So yes, of course, there's nothing to enjoy about that, and it's very important that the judiciary pronounce on these things and hold these people to account. Because if you don't have the judiciary, um, there are some people that always talk about mediation, mediation. Yes, fine, I have no problem with mediation. But ultimately, Justice Honduras, this is a very watershed moment. There's a precedent to be set here because if we don't get justice from the judiciary, then human beings take matters into their own hands. And you never want beliefs to become that because
and I agree.
what
I
they did
agree.
to me was criminal, right? It was theft, and that is the material aspect of it, the reputational damage,
Right.
the emotional distress for my daughter, for my family, because it was as if, well, I wasn't the leader and I had to pretend to be the leader when I was the duly elected leader. So when Justice Andorra decided that no Miss no Miss Pantan, October 20th, the nothing. I don't know where you to talk about. Shyne is the leader. That has to come with consequences, right? This idea that, the election settled everything. The election has settled nothing. Politics is local. The people in mess up due to fraud because Pantan was pretending, faking to be the leader. So she appointed her own candidate in Mesopotamia, and then we had betrayal and all types of things, but it wouldn't have been possible without the fraud, right? So all the elections did was facilitate more fraud, but she did not become the leader until November 30th, when she was endorsed as the leader in a convention overseen by myself, the party chairman Alberto August, and the secretary general at the time, Shari Medina, who they didn't want to recognize and who they went through all these fraudulent things. So that, of course, I don't enjoy that. I didn't enjoy being away from my daughter. Um, yeah, I
How,
didn't enjoy those things, but
how does
it was worth it. If I had to do it all over again, I would, and I am. Because going to the judiciary, I set a precedent. I set a precedent for the young men that come from where I come from because they wanted me. They wanted me so bad. When they took over that headquarters, they wanted me to be Shyne when I was 18 years old, 19
yeah,
years old, and go there and somebody dead. Shame
yeah.
on the police department, shame on the people that could have gotten involved, because that could have been bloodshed like you have never seen. It could have been carnage, right? But I said no. I said that's not democracy. That's not the type of democracy I want to live in. And I thank people like Alberto August and others who said, no, no, son, just let's do this the right way. And I thank Emmanuel Williams and Professor Dr. Christopher Malcolm and Diane Finnegan and different people and Tony Herrera and different people who kept me grounded and who said, no, let's go to the judiciary, let's go to court and let's fight them that way because they want you to be an animal just like them. So I set the precedent as to how to handle these things and not to descend into a banana republic. And so I take I take pride in that, and I take.
I have a question because you said you have a 2030 plan. How does the
No,
youth
I said I had a
oh
20.
had a 2030?
I entered into politics, I did have ambition that one day I would be leader, but I looked at it more at 2030 because I was in full support of the then leader, Patrick Faber, regardless of what he says, right? I was not responsible for the things that he did to get himself arrested and to get himself.
But 2030 still is 4
Um,
years away, and Belize politics. Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
train of thought.
Go ahead.
So I had a 2030 plan, but the 2030 plan was accelerated. Um, and at this point, so you could still say that I'm on track for the 2030 plan, but at this point, I am not. So I have evolved a lot. I have grown so much since I was leader. And the most important evolution and growth for me is that I don't have to be leader.
Right.
But I will not stand by and allow a leader that is physically unfit, mentally unfit, has great health problems, can't even stand up in the house. Johnny never made it. I don't think it would be mean, to tell the truth. How she stand up for the people and can't even stand up in a House of Representatives. There's serious health concerns there. I think there's mental acuity issues there. I am not going to stand by and allow the UDP to remain in the abyss because things have gotten worse. So if I have to offer myself, I will. But as I've mentioned before, if it's Darrell Bradley, if it's someone else that we agree is the best person at this time to lead the party, I have no problem supporting that because, as I've said, my time will come. I am confident of it. I know
I,
the unique
and
offering that I
I did
have.
want to jump in on that because how does, and I think the biggest criticism that we're hearing of late is that there's no opposition. That
Which is
has been,
which is incredible because that was their campaign. That was the Pantan Faber campaign against me that oh the opposition weak and we're not got no opposition. No, I am, I touch there whenever you asked me for this interview. Like
yeah,
literally you're taking me away from my recording
I
and my
apologize.
music, and that we were supposed to do it last week. I was busy with my daughter. But when the media asks, I have to oblige, and then I have to tell the truth. I'm not going to
No,
sugar
no, no,
anything.
I
No,
didn't
but I'm
say,
just saying,
right.
I know start pan yet. I know start yet. The thing not even start yet. Trust me. I want camp out the same way they camp out Palmyra Euphrates. I want camp out. I'm not ready for that yet. And without me even starting on them, without me even really focusing on them, they're in shambles. They're in shambles. I hear Lee Mark want to be leader. Audrey Wallace and the Sings, they push Lee back for be leader for overthrow Tracy. Well, Faber want to be leader, so all he does is give Tracy bad advice. I hear they had to hold Sheena back the Dangriga the other day because he want chance. Poor Earth Lopez, who is one of their supporters, Omar resigned. Listen, the
But
UP,
how do you put it back together though? Because it is right now
because you're
it's
cursed. The leadership is cursed. You don't
yeah.
do what they did and think that the wrath of the heavens and the hellfire is not going to come upon you. And they're frauds. They've always been frauds. They never cared to truly bring the party together. That's not the Faber doctrine. The Faber doctrine is to punish everybody, eliminate everybody. Anyone that he thought was a threat, whether that Bradley, whether that's Zenaida Moya, anybody, get rid of them. He are like Pharaoh, kill the firstborn, right? And make no mistake that Patrick Faber, they run the UDP. Tracy is a puppet that is unfit health-wise and mentally, in my opinion. But Faber is really the person calling the shots at the UDP. And that's why the UDP can't go anywhere, because Faber was always vindictive, always punitive, and doesn't mean well for the people of Belize. He means well for himself. Just like any corruption they're accusing the PUP of, you've seen it all with Faber and the lot of them that were in the cabinet under the UDP. So,
So
and when I tried to get rid of those corrupt people, kind of in the bulb or mirror right now, I haven't, like I said, I've been recording, but when I come up for air, I see some of the accusations being hurled at Mira, but look at the people accusing Mira, right? And I was trying to get rid of those people. So like me, I could accuse anybody because I never got anything, and anything that I would have ever gotten would be legit and above board and transactions done in the for whatever service that I may have provided. But I never get no bolida, no half a billion bolida.
So
That is one of
Shyne,
the greatest heists against the Belizean people. But the point I'm making, when I try to get rid of those people and bring in a new set of people who could actually talk about corruption, who could actually say to the Belizean people, if you elect us as your next government, we will not engage in these activities. We will enact legislation that is parallel to, similar to UNCAP. Who can say that amongst Tracy right now with any credibility?
so okay, and you've said your piece on Tracy and everybody else, but my question is, right?
Mhm.
How does UDP recover from it? Like how, like what's next? Because
That's
it's
what I'm telling you. Well, again, the same knife will stick sheep, stick goat. So first things first, as they used to say, we have to save the sinking ship. So we have to get rid of the captain where to sink the ship, the captain
okay.
and the captain crew. So that's the first order of business right now. It is time for municipal elections. And they don't have no money. They don't have dollar. Forgive, I'm talking about the UDP. The UDP leadership, Tracy Farber, all of them, they don't got dollar to give the standard bearers who will be contesting municipal elections to get prepared. And part of that preparation are transfers. Transferring people in the transfer period that comes up July 1st to August 31st is crucial in a period that precedes the municipal elections. And standard bearers don't have dollar. And every time they have a meeting, a MPC, Central Executive, the Shyne and the Bev, oh, look at your constitution. The party is not responsible for fundraising. That is for the constituencies to do. But when I was leader and I was finding millions of dollars to give the UDP, they said it wasn't enough. And they said they had some billionaire and some this one and that one woman, I'll give them more. And all they had to do was get rid of Shyne. So now they get rid of the Shyne and then broke. They don't got nothing to give the people. So that's the first step. Either they are going to come up with the money so that these standard bearers and these candidates for the municipal elections have a fighting chance, or they need to step aside. And the same way they said that you could have national convention at any time, well, I'm going to follow their precedent. And so if they can't come up with the money, then we will have another national convention so that we can put leaders in place who can find the funds and can give the opposition, can give the UDP a fighting chance. Because right now, they have nothing. They have no unity. They have no inclusion. They have no constitutionality. They have no high ground. They have no morality. They have nothing. The UDP now is worse than it has ever been, and people did not think that could be possible. But the first step is getting rid of the leadership crew and putting in place the people like the Bradleys, the Zenaidas, who I speak to often. There are people that were there that did good uh, and that would come back and offer the Belizean people hope. And I have proven I went to war against the most powerful people in the UDP because they were corrupt. And that is what led to the collapse of my leadership because all the old guard, all the corrupt old guard got together because they said he can't be prime minister. Because if he become prime minister, he'll lock way up. Yeah, lock up
So
the good people.
one
And
of
it is a good thing. That is a good thing because at least the Belizean people know who I was as leader of the opposition. They talk a bunch of nonsense about dictatorship. No, I was a leader with principles. I was a leader with integrity. I was a leader that was prepared to sacrifice my office and the power that come with it in order to do what is right. And it is the same thing I would do as prime minister. And even if it were another leader that were to come before me, my support for that leader would be based on the same principles. Or I
so
would,
so Shine, I think one of the things though, as if you're a Belizean who is not affiliated with either UDP or PUP, right?
Mhm.
And they're facing high cost of living, they're facing a lot of different issues, it reaches the point where the average Belizean might no longer care about what the arguments are. They just need somebody to solve the problem.
I don't know if you saw my presentation I did with the U.S. Embassy and the Love Foundation.
I did not,
That,
sorry.
it's about democratic governance, ethics, and accountability. That is the whole design of the PUDP ideology, to keep the people illiterate, keep them impoverished, and keep them desperate so that they could keep doing this Jankuno dance. So you have high cost of living, high gas prices under the PUP, and then you just get tired. But then you vote in a UDP, much like the one in shambles right now, no moral standing, no vision. They're not telling you what the solutions are. They're not saying, oh, like all Tracy that I get up and tell you, oh, today a Thursday, 8:24. All right, yeah, we know that. But the way we do today for make Belize better at 8:24 on a
So,
Thursday.
Shyne, we're going to take a
What's the
break.
plans for tomorrow?
We're going to take a break and we're going to talk a little bit about that presentation to the U.S. Embassy. And then we're going to
US
talk
Embassy
about
and Love Foundation.
Love
They
Foundation.
had a democracy boot camp
Okay.
in Riga to talk about these exact things with the
So we'll talk about it when we come back.
Sure.
The Diaspora Relations Unit within the Ministry of Tourism, Youth, Sports, and Diaspora Relations serves as the vital link between Belizeans living abroad and the government of Belize. As a unit, we strengthen relationships, encourage engagement, ensure that Belizeans around the world remain connected to their homeland, and make sure that wherever you are, Belize still feels like home. Another major initiative managed by the unit is the Diaspora Returnee Incentive Program, DRIP. This program was established to attract Belizeans in the diaspora who are considering repatriation. Through the program, eligible returnees are entitled to import household and personal effects, tools of trade, and a personal transportation free of import duties and taxes. It's our way of saying, welcome home, and making your transition back to Belize as smooth as possible. Another important aspect of the unit's work is the coordination and distribution of in-kind donations from the Belizean diaspora and friends abroad. As a unit, we organize and host diaspora meetings with large Belizean communities. These in-person gatherings allow for open dialogue, information sharing, and collaboration between the government and its citizens overseas. Through these interactions, Belizeans abroad are informed of national initiatives and can share their perspectives, ideas, and contributions towards national growth. We also attend events held by the diaspora to continue meaningful dialogues, share updates, hear ideas and inquiries, allowing us to keep the Belizean bond strong. Visit our website to access our chat feature. It allows Belizeans abroad to connect with our team directly for any inquiries or support. We encourage all Belizeans living abroad to sign up to our registry. This will help us keep you informed about initiatives, events, and opportunities to engage with your home country. The Diaspora Relations Unit, serving Belizeans, strengthening connections, and building a bridge between the world and home.
Belizean. Tell them that we bonded. Your bonded, your bonded. Tell them that we bonded. Your bonded, your bonded. I am a true band Belizean. Tell them that we bonded. Belize my home, my native land. Tell them that we bonded. I want you people to understand. Tell them that we bonded. I am proud to be a Belizean. Tell them that we bonded.
Welcome back, listeners, guests, to Naval String Connections. Our guest tonight is Dr. Honorable Shyne Barrow, and he's no stranger to Belizeans. He's a member of the Belize diaspora. He was our original diaspora Belizean, having grown up a portion of his life in Belize, living in the US, and he is now back and forth between the US and Belize. So we left off talking a little bit about Belize politics, and he was talking about the Love Foundation democracy boot camp in
Yes, the
Niagara.
Love Foundation and the U.S. Embassy democracy boot camp. Yes.
So could you tell us a little bit, because the issue of corruption has been at the forefront for multiple elections in Belize. I think that is now the promise of every party. Hey, I'm coming in, I'm going to change it, I'm going to put all these checks and balances in place. But part of the question also, Shyne, do you think the people are looking for change?
Yes.
Because they said the people elect and I said, you said they keep people poor and all that stuff, but they say politicians are a reflection of our people. Do you believe that?
Well, the thing is, right? You can't. The chicken hatches the egg, right? So people are born out of a PUDP ideology, as I said earlier, that consists of a conspiracy to keep the masses illiterate, thus impoverished, thus dependent, desperate and dependent on political leaders. So the political leaders that succeeded colonialism, that succeeded the monarch, that succeeded the governor general, they became neo-colonial masters. They became the new slave drivers. They didn't become the liberators that the Manleys became. Not saying this necessarily about people like George Price, but he's far and few in between. And then even if you have leaders that want to do the right thing, their cabinet is littered with people that don't. And then many of the power brokers on the donor side, as well as the political side, political leadership side, they had a PUDP plan, which is keep them illiterate, keep them impoverished, keep them desperate and dependent. So now why? Because if you're desperate and dependent on a politician because you're illiterate and you're unskilled and you can't help yourself, then you can't think critically. So this is not a matter of policy that will benefit you and benefit your children and benefit society at large in the long term. This becomes a transaction. This becomes a hungry, me need to eat. Where I got to give? I got $100 to give. I got $200 to give. I got $50 to give. I got 300, and then electoral seats go to the highest bidder. And then what does that do? Because they have corrupted the electorate. So now when they get there, they feel they owe the electorate nothing because, well, I don't pay you for your vote, right? And then the electorate, not critical thinkers, not because that's what they wanted, but that's because the people that had the power to educate them, to enlighten them, to uplift them, to equip them with the skill set so that they don't have to be dependent on the political leader, never did that. And they knew what they were doing. So now when they get to parliament, they thief all the money, they thief all the budget. That's where all the corruption comes in, because then they have an electorate that won't hold them accountable, because remember, they're still illiterate, still impoverished, and still desperate and dependent. So when election time come wrong again, they don't remember all of the corruption as much as any make nice right now. When election time come, I mean, I would love for them to prove me wrong. When election time come, they're going to take the money. So that who have the most money? No.
But how do we fix that?
Finish what I said.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so that's a part of the speech that I was giving, and it was a boot camp for democracy for youth. So that's how you fix it, because the new generation is different. And the new generation is what I represented as leader of the opposition. Someone who was challenging the status quo, someone who was going to do things like it has never been done before, someone who, yes, respect to the old guard, but you know what, old guard, your time was then, our time is now, and this is the whole way I'm doing it. If you're designated for corruption, you have to roar. If you're the thief, if you get the bolito, if you get this and $500 million, you have to roll out. Give back some of that money. And if I had a prime minister, I don't care if you're a UDP or PUP, you'll get bangles if you never made a move right and if you got something. So either you pay a fine, which is what they do in the United States sometimes. They make you pay millions and millions for some of the corruption that you got away with the white crime. And so you could use that money to then invest in this free education. But the solution are the young people. I gave them the example of the United States. There was a time in the United States where there was Jim Crow, where people were killed, people were lynched, people had to drink at different water fountains, eat at different parts of the restaurant, couldn't even eat at the restaurant. But there was a young man, there were young men, two in particular, and a young woman. How old do you think Rosa Parks was? Right? How old do you think Martin Luther King was when he started? He died at 35. That is young. That is young. So if he died at 35, he was in the civil rights movement for at least 10 years. So that means he was 25, just like these young people. Malcolm X was assassinated at 33. He was in the game for at least 10 years. So he was 23 when he was getting up, giving those riveting speeches. Right?
Shyne.
Make a finish. So that is the solution. The people will solve it. They're not me. They're not Darrell. They stop waiting for Jesus to come and rescue the Belizean people. The people need to rescue themselves, and it starts with the young people. That is my solution. That's why I came back from the United States to give that speech, to give them the information, to let them know about the PUDP conspiracy, and then challenge them to do something about it. Get active. They don't have to be PUP. They don't have to be UDP. They don't have to be no P. Get together. All young people, they represent 80% of the electorate. They are the majority of the country. Get together and do something about the country that you live in. Do something, form your own party, form the youth party. Maybe the unions in other countries, the unions have their own party. There are solutions. People just have the courage. Make a finish.
I didn't hear you, man, but you know, to make an interview you.
You know, make a finish though.
Go ahead, finish. Finish your thought.
You call me for talking. If I come for talk, make a talk. If not, I could go back to finish.
Oh, Lord. Make I ask you one question with that, though.
Finish that train of thought.
Go ahead.
Make the sacrifice was my message to the young people. Make the sacrifice. Take the plunge. Have the courage to give you everything to save your country, because only could do it. Sorry. Go ahead.
That is very riveting, and that's very inspiring. But I do want to put a little bit of context to MLK and the United States young leaders. You still have the NAACP, you have the Southern Poverty Law Group, you have these attorneys, these young professionals that when they saw a lot of illegal, unconstitutional stuff, or you had these people who donated to causes. And I'm just doing that comparison because, and I'll use Jerry Enriquez as a perfect example, right? Jerry is not an attorney, but he sees something constitutionally wrong with our system. So what happens? Our government takes our money to go fight a constitutional case that is anti-constitutional, but we don't see the same level of advocacy coming from the young attorneys versus like when attorneys are young over this side in the US, they don't want to jump into the money or the corporate. They want to make a name for themselves. And so they go out there and they just start challenging stuff so that they gain that litigation experience and popularity. But we don't see that in Belize. A lot of young people want to do some of these changes, but what happens? And I'll use a perfect example with Alberto and Mira. Alberta give a satirical comment online, and now suddenly the police is showing up at your house, right? So while he might be able to access legal help because he is connected in that way, imagine these young people that don't have that level of access and help and advocacy in their background where they can say, hey, Mr. Uh, Vicky, I know you are come out to come help me for free if I get in, but you have to get the legal community also bear one responsibility in my mind to start giving back to the society on a constitutional basis. And I just want to hear your thoughts on that.
Well, I don't look for excuses.
I
I'm
get it.
not trying to pin the blame on anyone. The message is to all young people. So it's not just to the young people that I spoke to in the auditorium in Dangrega. It is to all young people. And so that includes the attorneys, but this is not a legal issue right now. This is an activism issue. And this is not America where people are being lynched. Yes,
True.
kudos to Mr. Enriquez for taking up the fight. But I believe the young lawyers will become active when the young activists activate. Right now, what do the young lawyers have to be active about necessarily? So I don't see it the way that you see it. I see that first, the young activists need to, the students, everybody needs to get together. Like Ashley Longsford is a great example of a young activist, but she's alone, right? So I before I go call out the young lawyers, where are the other young Ashley Longsfords? Like, where are they? Want to get together and want to get together bipartisan. I know to encourage no PUDP. That was my message. And even when I spoke as a patriot. I did not speak as a UDP. I spoke as a patriot. And I always put beliefs first. So right now, it's really for the young people to get up. They make the majority. They have the voting power. But they have to get up and come up with what they want, the social contract that they want with the leaders. And they need to make noise. They need to go and protest. They need to get their numbers together. We need to have the Belizean Spring. Well, they need to do it, right? I could continue to tell them. And even by telling them, I'm breaking the PUDP code, right? By telling them the power that they have and what they could do, but they have to do it, right? So, and
How did they receive your message when you gave your speech?
Well, it's not for me to say. I'd come across a bit hubristic if I were to tell you how I thought they perceived it, but it's inconsequential. But we'll see. We'll see by the actions.
And what is it was a boot camp, but what other resources at the event was provided to these young
You have
people?
to speak to the people at Law Foundation.
Okay. Well, I thought it was more than just speeches.
No, well, allow me to finish. I was only able to focus on my presentation.
Okay.
The time is very limited, so I flew into the country when I flew into Dangrega to give my speech, and I had to leave after my speech. I could not be a part of all of the
activities.
Other presenters from Elections and Boundaries, and I believe from municipalities, and so they had a full day of events, but Deborah Sewell will probably be able to give you more information. But I was only able to give my presentation, answer some questions, and do a bit of socializing with the young stakeholders, and then I had to get on a plane to return to the city to attend to other meetings.
Okay. So what's next? I mean, I dragged you out here, and I really appreciate that opportunity to discuss tonight with you. I know that you were in studio and you are in work mode, right? So where are we heading next? Where are you heading next?
I'm in the Hamptons, New York right now. I haven't been here 27 years. The last time I was here was when the Knicks were in the finals, but they lost. This time,
Okay.
they're going to win the championship by the grace of God and our orange and blue fans. But yeah, so I'm finishing up my albums. I have 5 albums now. The last time it was 4. I have the first album being released in the fourth quarter. Um,
Okay.
the tour is going to start, so we're finalizing that. I can't tell you. I have some very special guests that are going to be on the tour, but the last time I did that without getting it in black and white, I got in a lot of trouble. But
Okay.
we'll head out in October. I still have a few dates that I do between now and then, but the actual official tour will continue in October throughout December. Uh,
Okay.
yeah, so that is happening, but we're finishing the albums. One will be released around the same time the tour starts in November of this year, and then one every year until 2030. So we have the Honorable being released this November, then Prime Minister next fall, then Actual Intelligence in 2028. Then we have AM PM 1236, which is going to be a love album, right? Because I recently fell in love again.
Oh, nice. Congrats.
That's an entirely different conversation, but I
This is
recently
the one we like, man. This is the
fell
gossip
in
one.
love again. So obviously, being in love, that's an entire album, right? So
You just smile when you say that, Shine. I like you light up.
that would be more with like the Brent Fires and the Ty Dolla Signs and my guy Pooh Bear that does a lot of production for me.
Okay.
I think
Oh, I think we lost him just now. Just now, but we have such a great conversation with Shine discussing politics. He was talking a little bit about his upcoming tour, and he was discussing his days with the United Democratic Party, which was very interesting. But I want to say that I think that he has a very compelling story, especially in light of we have a generation of young men in Belize and the US and the world. It's not only Belize, but it's prevalent within the Caribbean, where you see a lot of young men that are going astray. It's a generation where you're seeing a lot of people who feel like they can't find a space in the world. And so I think stories are important so that people can hear stories, compare them sometimes, and maybe see different ways that they can overcome these challenges and see that even though things at times may seem hopeless, time eventually creates opportunities for people to elevate themselves around that. But I don't know if he's going to be able to come back on. But one of the things I do want to promote is our Belize Diaspora Summit that is coming up in July. It's going to be July 23rd, the 24th, 25th in Belize City. At the summit, we have different topics, subject matters that we're going to be talking about. Day one is going to be a very public event. We're going to be talking about digital digital transformation, AI and cybersecurity, and the entire system is going through a revolution. That's how they're describing it. It's the new uh, phenomenon with these data, these different types of tools that are going to potentially replace a lot of jobs, or maybe they act as tools and enhance different things. The prediction is we're going to start seeing more cures and we're going to see more things that come out of this era. So we'll have that discussion. We have a dynamic youth discussion. Shine just now was talking about the youths becoming engaged in farming, developing, discussing the future of Belize. We see political parties sometimes fall short of creating significant changes, or you know, getting the youth involved many times is key in nation building. And so we have Ashley Longsworth, he mentioned her. We have Elude Miller that is running for mayor. We have Alan Pollard who is running for mayor, I believe also. And we have Salima Barrow that's going to be on a panel that's being hosted by Miss Earth, Destiny Wagner. We also have a panel that's going to talk about diaspora and the contribution and impact with the diaspora in Belize. Day two is going to be focused on business, investments. We're going to be talking about finance, and finance is a big deal. Right now, there's a lot of Belizeans who want to develop in Belize, and access to finance is very challenging, of course. We're also going to be talking to regional investors and business people who are going to potentially, who's going to have these discussion about the Guyanese diaspora here, but Guyana has one of the largest diasporas in the world. Many people left Guyana, and now they actually have a policy where they're calling back their diaspora to come home and develop Guyana. Plus, they have a lot of protectionist type policies that protect Guyanese, even in how business is conducted there. I visited there last year, and it was a very enlightening experience to see how the Guyanese function. We're also going to have the Orange Economy Sector. We're going to have an event at the Bliss Institute, and the last night we're going to have a gala at the House of Culture. But even importantly, Destiny has a Pilates class that she will be heading this Saturday. We have a Creole Boys tour that will be offering tours to Belizeans who are visiting. So there's a lot of exciting and new things that we're going to be doing. We want the Belizeans at home and abroad to come home, to enjoy Belize, to vacation, to tour Belize, and invest in Belize. We are invested in many different ways. We're invested in giving back to our country. We give back through education, funds. We give back through medical missions, to different donations that we give. So the whole idea of the Diaspora Summit this year is basically bringing people together who we believe are movers and shakers, or people who are instrumental in a certain area, so that they can go in and have these discussions, have access, figure out a way how we as Belizeans living abroad and Belizeans who are at home, how we can create these bridges that build Belize, and how we can utilize these skills and make them transferable, or how we can help and become more organized so that we don't have all these different people doing the same thing. So please reach out and ask us about the summit if you want to participate in it. Our website is www.belizediasporasummit.com. And you can send us an email at info@belizediasporasummit.com. And we anticipate that it's going to be a very well-received event. Shout out to the Ministry of Tourism, Youth and Diaspora Relations. They have supported us for 3 years for this event. They have been one of our biggest supporters. This year we have Finance Belize that's given us big support. We have DJ Kopali Rum, Saber Realty, and then we have our other supporters, and I should call their names. Of course, we have XTV. We have Niche that has given us the opportunity to use these facilities. We have Wine Time. We also have 501 Pulse. Please check out they have a dynamic system to tour Belize. If you ever want to tour Belize, you have 501pulse.com. You have Creole Boys that will be doing the tours. We have the Ministry of Natural Resources that have supported our event for 2-3 years. The Ministry of Immigration that has provided paperwork and stuff much needed for Belizeans this year. If you want your kids and families to get their citizenship, it's a great time to get your kids to the Belizean citizenship. And we also have the Buller Group, which is a broker in Miami, Belizean. He's bringing down a group to come. So the event is going to be held at the Grand Resort and Residence, July 23rd and the 24th. That's going to be panel discussion, business day. We also have different events such as the event at the Bliss, which will be the Friday night, and the gala, which is going to be the Saturday. We will also have Destiny, like I said, doing Pilates. Saturday, we're treating it as a wellness day. So please, please go ahead, check it out. Check out 501pulse.com app. If you want to see day by day events happening at the event, go to our website. Please visit our vendors that are supporting us. These vendors are important because they make these events possible. So with that said, and with whole of 5 minutes left, I want to say thank you very much, CREM and XTV, that have continuously provided this platform so that we in the Belize diaspora can have these important discussions and create a bridge that is very much needed. I think years ago, there was a lot of maybe animosity or misunderstanding with Belizeans who were living abroad and Belizeans who live at home. You have Brother Noor Mohammed who will be hosting, moderating the diaspora panel. And it's going to be a great event. So with that being said, like I said, XTV being a big supporter of ours, giving us the platform to have these type of events. In fact, it was really Mo's idea way back in New York. We were having a different type of event, a business event, and he came up for the event and he was like, hey, why are you guys doing just a half day type event? Why don't you make it into something where it's not only business, but it touches all different aspects of the Belizean diaspora? And with that said, we decided, yeah, that's a great idea. And so we had our inaugural event in Los Angeles, where the largest Belizeans were that were living abroad. It was very well received. We had a lot of support from the ministry. And last year we had it in South Florida. This year we decided to bring it home to Belize because we do have an opportunity now for Belizeans to come to the events and listen into some of these discussions, contribute to the economy of ideas, and be a part of it, because ultimately, as you see, as the world is going through all its different changes politically, economically, socially, the world is changing, and the strength of every country really is the people. Our people are our strength and our resources. And if we can embrace, and if we can utilize the strengths of all our people, just imagine Belizeans come abroad and they are excelling in many different ways. They're surviving, they're helping their family back home. And so, with that being said, why not formalize it? So, this year, we will be presenting a diaspora paper, and it's really just a paper to ask the government of Belize to formulate a formal policy that will incorporate the diaspora in their planning, in their budgets, in their when they're looking for consultants, or maybe when you need a specialist or a doctor or an economist or somebody, the resources there is on tap. It is invaluable. So thank you, Harlan. He is our technician, and we thank Honorable Dr. Shyne Barrow for joining us tonight and having these discussions. Very important. Our politics does affect every aspect of our lives. It is not to be ignored, and many times it's really not. It's not a joke that we tend to take it. You know, these things impact our lives. These decisions that our leaders make impact our lives. And when we talk about our government is our opposition, and they are the ones that form the cabinet. Every elected official and unelected official that are sitting in the cabinet, the House of Representatives, the Senate, are our decision makers. And it's very important that we take these things very seriously. And I know I was rambling, trying to kill time. With that being said, thank you very much for joining us. Thank you, Brother Shyne. Thank you, Krem and XTV and Harlan, and have a good night. I think the flooding is affecting many people. I pray that they are safe, and maybe an opportunity where the Belize diaspora can again help in those instances. So have a good night, everyone. Thank you for joining us. This is Naval String Connection with your host, ARIA Lightfoot, Bilal Morris, and producer, Brother Nuri Mohammed. Thank you.
I am a true born Belizean. Belize my home, my native land. I want you people to understand. I am proud to be a Belizean.